Police stand by, what do we expect? Politicians silent, or worse, complicit. The media spins it and calls it patriotic. This isn't just a random spree, it's institutional, ingrained in our society. Deep in the fabric of our system, they thrive on division, acting on racism. The elite point fingers, distract and deflect. Their greed, their faults they'll never correct. They fuel the flames of hate and fear to keep their thrones and steer us clear. If we look beyond their crafted veil and seek the truth, they try to derail. It's not the refugees or immigrants who destroy, it's the hate they use as their decoy. We're stronger when we stand as one, in unity their hate's undone. Remember this, their lies defy, in truth, in love we multiply. Ultimately, what I've been reflecting on this week, obviously, it's not an issue of today, it's an issue that's ingrained in the history of this country, and my next poem kind of goes into this. This country is built on colonialism, on the bones of empires past, stolen lands and stolen wealth, where the impact continues to last. Built on the back of the exploited, the working class with dreams cast aside, the heart of industry and factories, in mines and field where the marginalised reside. This country is built on racism, a shadow in the history books, supremacy, exclusion and division, scarred into the landscape and is still overlooked. This country is built on slavery, human lives that are commodified, the wealth of the empire bloodstained and heavy, a history that's always denied. But this country is also built on immigration, seeking refuge, hope and a home, from distant lands and crossing seas, bringing culture and stories of their own. And this country is built on diversity, all voices and colours and face, together standing in unity, with strength that this bond creates. This country is built on the shoulders of giants, those who fought for rights, for freedom and for peace, who marched, who spoke and sacrificed, so oppression might one day cease. In these times where the fascists rise up, spreading hate and division with lies, we will fight for our one true foundation, the strength that lies in all our shared ties.
Black and white, unite and fight, together we are dynamite. You can do it, black and white.
As long as they keep coming up, we will keep pushing them back down, because we are the people who can do it, and as Rena said, we are stronger and there are more of us than there are of them. So whenever they emerge, we need to get on the streets. But let's be honest, comrades, this is about more than that. We cannot pretend, and I listened to the previous speakers, we cannot pretend that fascism and the far right is some sort of anomaly in this country. The reality is it's ingrained in politics in this country. It's been reflected in the vitriol of mainstream, so-called mainstream politicians who have legitimised it by feeding Islamophobia, by feeding racism, by feeding a hostile environment. Those people are to blame. There is much to blame for what has gone on in this country in the last 7 days at the likes of Robinson, because they fed it, they drip-fed it, that poison into people's minds, offering their false solutions that somehow if you're poor, or if you're unhoused, or if you're on low wages, that your problem is somebody from another country, or somebody who prays to a different God than you might pray to. When the reality is that it is a system that those mainstream politicians are very keen to uphold that causes that division, and allows the far right to emerge as it does periodically. So when we challenge fascism, and we challenge racism, yes, we need to do it on the streets, but we need to go beyond that. We need to do it in the workplaces. We need to unite black and white workers. Our union at the moment is working on a project for migrant workers in social care, being terrifically exploited by their employers. We're working with them. We signed a recognition agreement. We have 3 new reps, 2 from India, 1 from Bangladesh, just become reps in our union branch in the last week, uniting with people who've been in this country a lot longer or all their lives, fighting for all workers. And after I've been here today, I'm going to go back to my own part of Salford, where in the last couple of years we've had Britain first standing in elections. We pushed them back, yes we beat them at the ballot box, but the fact that they felt able to stand has pointed out to us that there is something slightly wrong within our community. So we've got a festival this afternoon of unity. We're going to have a stall there for unison, and we're going to talk to the people of my community about how they are stronger united, about how if they stand together as working class people, they can overcome their differences, not falling for the lies, not falling for the hate, and not falling for the division. So yes, we beat the fascists on the street, yes we beat them, and we beat the far right at the ballot box, but we have to tackle them within our own communities, in our own workplaces, empowering working class people in all our diversity, because comrades, that is how we undermine the system that drives these things in the first place. It's great to see all of you, solidarity, and keep up the good work, comrades. Unity over division.
When they attack migrants, when they attack refugees, when they attack Muslims, the bigots don't just stop there, do they? They attack women's rights, they attack trans people's rights, they attack LGBT rights at the same time. They use division to try and rule over us. And so it's important we represent all aspects of our movement, and I'm glad we've got our Trans-Pennine travelling sister.
Really lovely to see you all here. What an absolutely beautiful picture of Manchester you present coming out today and making it really clear that you are not going to accept fascism, racism, homophobia, sexism, classism and ableism on the streets of Manchester, and so many more things that the fascists, if they had their way, would bring and make the norm. The scenes this week have been terrifying in some ways. I have had friends who I've known for years and years, gay friends, trans friends, black friends, brown friends, who have said, for the first time in my life, I haven't felt able to walk out in the streets. That is not a situation we can allow to continue. And it was really, really good to see so many people out last week and on Wednesday. Now, my name's Sister Polyamoureuse of the Blessed Mercy Beaucoup and Bona Aris, and I'm part of the Trans-Pennine Travelling Sisters, who are part of a much wider global organisation called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. I gather some of you have heard of us. We have a really long activist history that started in the late 70s in America with activism on homelessness and all the CND marches. In Britain, there were earlier queer nuns also activating as part of the Gay Liberation Front. And our organisation in Britain now really came together at the time of the poll tax marches, the Section 28 marches, and all the kind of activism that we've seen in the last 50 years. Wherever there has been a struggle, there has been a Sister of Perpetual Indulgence coming out and arguing that we need to keep solidarity and intersectionality at the forefront of all our activism. If we let ourselves be separated off into sort of small minority groups, just representing ourselves, we'll get nowhere. We have to recognise that our struggles are interconnected, and that we are strong when we can recognise each other's differences, learn from each other about our own specific lives and the politics that inform our lives and the barriers that face us all within our different groups. But when we can share that and recognise it as part of a wider struggle, we are so much stronger and we learn so much more. And life is more fun that way, let's face it. We are beautiful. We'll be doing a unicorn singing circle. Now, we did this 2 years ago when Drag Queen Story Hour was being attacked by Patriotic Alternative and other fascist groups. We turned out in Leeds where there were thousands of people, arguing that children should be allowed to go and listen to a lovely drag queen telling them a story in the Central Library. And as part of that, we had a singing circle. So I brought the singing circle along today.
You're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong. Oh.
Solidarity from Greater Manchester Stop the Wall Coalition. Manchester, never let the politicians, never let the police tell us that we shouldn't come out on the streets and defend Tories that stopped the fascists on Wednesday. It was us, in our hundreds of thousands. We stopped the fascists. But we have to look at where this fascism has come from. It hasn't sprung out of nowhere. It's come from the Tories and the Labour Party fanning the flames of racism and Islamophobia. It is this government and the Tories demonising the Muslim community, telling us that the peaceful Palestine marches were marches of hate and terrorism. This is what has unleashed the fascists onto our streets. But also, the breeding ground for fascism is poverty and hopelessness. It has been 12 years of austerity, 12 years of cuts to our services, to our NHS, to our communities destroyed by the politicians of this country. So Manchester sends a message to the fascists. You are not welcome in our city. And if you ever show your faces here again, we the people will drive you out of our city, time and time again. But we also have a message to the politicians and to Keir Starmer and the Labour Party. Stop demonising Muslims. Stop talking about small boats full of desperate people fleeing the wars that you started. And start talking about the millionaires' yachts. Stop funding and building nuclear weapons. And stop building our NHS. Stop building our communities. And stop telling us there's no money. We know it's a lie. Tax the rich and fund the services we need. So Manchester, we need to keep building this beautiful united mass movement to drive the fascists out of town, to free Palestine, and to build the communities and services we need and deserve. So, when the fascist scum are under the attack, what does Manchester do? Stand up, fight back! When our Muslim communities are under attack, what does Manchester do? Stand up, fight back! When our mosques are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back! Solidarity Manchester, keep fighting!
Go to Cheadle, to an industrial estate, to make sure that it was safe, that the fascists didn't mobilise there to try and burn down an immigration solicitors. And there were no fascists that turned up, but 500 of us turned up to make sure that that was safe. So congratulations to everyone that was on that protest, that took their time out to make sure that we were together, that we showed that we're the majority, that we're willing to defend every bit of Manchester from the Nazis. Because when the Nazis attack, we fight back. 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 Remember what Farrod was talking about. There are people trying to cross over to the Channel. There are people trying to cross the Mediterranean. Both of them have become graveyards for people. And it doesn't need to be that way. Think how the British government dealt with Ukrainians when they had to flee. You know, they were allowed to go and live in people's homes. They were allowed to go and work. They can do the same for the thousands that are there trying to get into the UK. But there's not a safe legal route for them to enter the country. There's not a safe legal route for them to enter Europe. And this is a disgusting thing that they're doing. Because it's pure racism why they're doing this. There's no real reason for them to do this. There are jobs that need to be done. There are houses that could be built. There are people that could work for British society and make it better. So there's no reason for them to stop people coming over to this country. We have to keep fighting and saying, refugees are welcome here. Say it loud. Refugees are welcome here.
Both of my grandparents came here to the UK from Pakistan in the 60s, in the height of the National Front, when fascism was rife throughout our city. They have each been long-standing taxpayers, law-abiding citizens, and most importantly raised their children and grandchildren to embrace and adopt true British culture. I stand before you as someone who is typically referred to themselves as a proud Mancunian, but our communities have recently come under attack through deplorable acts of racist and Islamophobic violence, in which we have seen attacks on homes, mosques, Muslim-owned businesses, arson attacks on hotels, housing asylum seekers, and enough is enough. There are many children who are going to bed at night worried about frightening events that are taking place just on their doorstep. We can't stand by and allow this to take place. Our members who believe in the power of education will take the lead in challenging racism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, and in challenging harmful prejudices and stereotyping about migrant families. We value the many positive aspects that migration immigrants bring to our union, our movement, and our country, as well as the benefits for all of us living in a society that is welcoming and inclusive. We recognise that many years of irresponsible rhetoric by politicians and in sections of the British media have created a climate that threatens the social cohesion of this country and our progress towards a more equal society. The violence must provide a watershed moment for change. Divisive, hateful language and negative racist stereotypes have a real and immediate impact on classrooms and the well-being of our students and educators. This threatens the possibility of progress towards greater race equality in education, employment, and our wider society. The current curriculum review must respond to these urgent social issues and investigate how to build an anti-racist curriculum that boosts engagement, self-esteem, and sense of belonging for every single child. The trade union movement has a strong and vibrant history of opposing racism and fascism. The NEU stands in the tradition of our member Blair Peach, who will support rallies, protests and initiatives called by Stand Up to Racism as a non-violent counter. Our children have the right to grow up without fear. We must stand together across our movement and our communities to stand up for the human rights, social justice and ensure that using education counters racism with every stride. Our children, staff and communities should not fear the dangers of white supremacy. We need to call upon change from the top to create a zero tolerance stance so that our children, our educators and our communities can feel loved, safe and celebrated once again. Thank you, Manchester.
Daily Mail, 4,000 foreign murderers and rapists we can't throw out. Daily Mail, UK Muslims helping jihadis. Daily Mail, migrant numbers hit new records. Daily Mail, migrants, how many more can we take? Daily Mail, Calais, send in the army. Daily Mail, the true toll of mass migration on UK life. Daily Mail, 100,000 illegals stopped at the UK border. Daily Mail, 1 million more migrants are on their way. Daily Mail, the swarm on our streets. Daily Mail, why we must not take 3,000 migrant children. Daily Mail, migrants spark housing crisis. And finally, Daily Mail, foreign workers get 3 in 4 new jobs. That's the poison they've been spilling out. And then they call us peace marches, but they are responsible as much as anybody, as much as Robinson or Yaxley Lennon, whatever he calls himself, for the hatred on the streets and the violence on the streets. Because fascism is, as we know, it's an aggressive nationalist movement. Authoritarian leaders closing down trade unions, taking away workers' rights, silencing socialists, silencing the women's movement, shutting down LGBTQ+ campaigns. They believe in crushing their opponents. So we need, I'm going to use this phrase despite everything, we need to be tough on fascism, but we need to be tough on the causes of fascism. Because, as people have said, in the 20s and 30s, fascism grew in fertile soil of economic crisis and falling living standards. The people were afraid, they were insecure, they were in precarious jobs following huge economic shocks. Does it sound at all familiar? And people And this was not just Europe, not just Germany in Europe, it was across Europe. And here we had to fight off British fascism under Mosley. And we did it as we've done it this week and will continue to do by solidarity. So we have to also, it's not just the streets, we have to fight the fascist ideas. We have to stop, because their main weapon is usually scapegoating. It can be Jews, it can be Irish, it can be Gypsy Roma travellers, and today they're focusing on the Muslims. Those people are not the enemy. The enemy is the wealthy corporations controlling our economy and every aspect of our lives. The slogan that the fascists use is something to do with getting their country back, but it wasn't the migrants who privatised the NHS, who sold off our railways, who sold off our water, who sold off our gas. It wasn't the migrants who did that. It wasn't the migrants who sold off our electricity. It wasn't the migrants who attacked our trade union rights. So we need to oppose all those actions, whether they're by Tory and Labour. People talked about 12 years. The neoliberal agenda has been going for 40 years, destroying our welfare state bit by bit. A welfare state we fought for and paid for when we were really short of money in the 1940s. And now Labour talk about promising more of the same. Starmer claims to be promising change, but he can't even offer to feed the third hungry child in the family, a victim of a Tory benefit cut or cap, now adapted as a Labour benefit cut or cap. So those are the tough choices that Starmer is making. Well, does Labour want to be part of the problem or part of the solution? Let's demand this government throw off the self-imposed shackles of fiscal responsibility. You know what that means? It means Tory economics. It means feed the rich. So they need to tax the rich. They need to tax the powerful corporations, support the trade unions, no more austerity, rebuild the welfare state, rebuild our health system, rebuild our education, and build a social care system we can be proud of. We can do that, but the choice has to be made. And at the moment, Starmer is coming down on the side of big business. Those are the tough choices he has to make. So we're going to fight fascism and continue to do so. We're going to stand in solidarity, shoulder to shoulder with our Muslim brothers and sisters who are under particular attack at this moment. We're going to fight a united fight, can't be separated. There has to be all forms of racism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, anti-black racism. We can't afford to be separated. And we will succeed in that. And we will build a society, if we do, based on freedom and unity. Our enemy is not Muslims, Jews or black people, but the rich and powerful corporations which control our lives. So I want to end by saying this. Solidarity is the answer. Unity will keep our streets safe. Unity will keep our mosques and synagogues safe. Unity will keep our communities safe. The people united will never be defeated.
Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it loud. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. There are many, many more, many, many more, many, many more of us than you. We are black, white, and Muslims, and we Jews. We are black, white, Muslims, and we Jews. And we are black, white, Muslims, black, white, Muslims, black, white, Muslims, and we Jews. We are the people. We want to silence. Stop the fascists now, 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 now. Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here! Refugees are welcome here!
on the protest. Everyone's in a legal right to have a protest as long as it's kept peaceful. We're just here today to watch the football, so we're Port Vale football fans. We're going on the game to Salford, and we've just come into Wetherspoons for a beer en route to the game. And obviously the march has come down. And they started singing, you know, saying we were fascist and that. So we just, no racist songs, no slurs, nothing bad. We just sang some of our football songs.
Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here. Refugees are welcome here.
When I say boycott, you say Barclays. Boycott! Barclays! I got you guys. Boycott!